Happy Monday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Welcome to Science. Today we are going to continue our discussion about planets and stars, and we're going to be talking about some asteroids today and some dwarf planets. But we're going to start with Uranus. Now, what's interesting about Uranus, I mentioned this in last week's videos, is the fact that Uranus is the only planet that spins sideways, different from the others. Most planets are on a tilted axis, like I talked about the way that Earth is. We're slightly tilted like this. But Uranus is turned all the way this way with it spinning this way. So it is very unique. Kind of like I said, February is the only month that has the amount of days, such as 28 or 29 in a leap year. Uranus is the only one that spins that way. And if you see in your book, page 194, they show the rings around Uranus going this way to let you know, so that it spins in a different direction than the others. It also has a pale bluish green color, which I really love this color. The gases that are around the planet are what create that color. Some other things I want you guys to be thinking about as you're reading today is, besides the fact that Uranus is special because of the way that it spins, it also gets most of its sunlight just at the poles. Okay, so the poles are the axis where it spins, and so it's going to get most of its sunlight on the right side and on the left side, where because the Earth is tilted on its axis, we don't get a lot of the sun's energy on our poles. That's why the North Pole is very cold and the South Pole is very cold, because that's not where the part that's closest to the sun for us is in the hemisphere that is facing the sun, versus when it's like this, the poles being on either end, that's the cold spots for us because it's further away from the sun. I hope I didn't confuse you there. I was thinking through that. Okay, so the poles for Uranus get most of the sunlight, and let's talk a little bit about Neptune. It's the furthest planet from the sun, so it is the furthest out, and these planets were discovered back in, actually, Uranus was one of the first ones to be discovered in modern times. William Herschel discovered it in 1781, and most of the information that we have about these planets come from Voyager 2, which is a space probe, because we can't go that far into outer space, or if we can, it just hasn't happened yet. It would require probably a whole lot of resources to get us that far out. So, Neptune, it is the furthest from the sun. It is spinning in the direction that most of the other planets are spinning. And it's the coldest because it's the furthest away. The wind on Neptune blows at 994 miles an hour. A little windy out there. If we have a hurricane here on Earth, the winds are usually 294 kilometers an hour. So what's happening on Neptune is 6 times stronger than what we have here on Earth. And we have some doozy winds in a hurricane. Neptune has rings as well. And many of them have moons, like we talked about. Let me see. Yes, Neptune has 12 moons. And Uranus has actually 27, so quite a few. And let's talk about some asteroids and some dwarf planets. How many of you have ever heard of the game called Asteroids? Used to play this when I was little. I remember there just being some type of laser involved and trying to shoot and break apart these rocks, which are asteroids, which is what they are. They're small rocky objects in outer space. They're most commonly found between Mars and, hang on one second, let me make sure I have this right, Mars and Jupiter. It's what's called the asteroid belt. So they're kind of gathered together in clumps or clusters. And in that asteroid belt is the majority of where they're found in outer space. They can be really irregular sizes. They could be as small as your bedroom, or they could be big as your whole house. Asteroids are typically smaller than dwarf planets, but not always. Like I said, Pluto was once named a planet, and now it's been downgraded to a dwarf planet. And let me see what else I want you guys to be thinking about as you're doing your reading. There's two other dwarf planets, Pluto and Eris. And Pluto was classified as a dwarf planet in 2006. And the largest dwarf planet is called Eris. Okay. All right. Enjoy your study of outer space today.